Every autumn, the mountains called, and some climbed to stay alive. On the 9th day of the 9th lunar month, the people of ancient China gathered their wine, dogwood branches, and folded rice cakes, and began to ascend. They did not climb for beauty, not for leisure. They climbed because the world below had become dangerous. This was no ordinary date. According to cosmic numerology, it was a day of doubled yang, too much active energy, a moment of imbalance, a spiritual breach, and that meant something unclean could slip through. The double ninth festival, Chongyang began as a ritual of avoidance, of vertical escape, of survival through elevation. So why did the ancients believe that climbing a mountain could save them from disaster? To understand the answer, we must descend into their symbolic universe, where numbers were forces, seasons were omens, and mountains opened the gates between heaven and death. To understand the origins of the double ninth festival, we must begin, oddly enough, with a number. In the cosmological framework of yin and yang, numbers were not mere quantities, they were forces. Odd numbers were associated with yang, the active, bright, and masculine energy. Even numbers with yin, the passive, dark, and feminine. The number 9 was the largest single-digit odd number, making it the most yang of all. When repeated, as in the 9th day of the 9th lunar month, it produced a supercharged yang configuration. This symbolic doubling of yang energy was seen as both potent and dangerous. In traditional Chinese cosmology, excess of any force, even a positive one, could lead to imbalance, a concept central to both Taoism and Confucian metaphysics. The I Ching, or Book of Changes, one of the oldest and most influential Chinese texts, emphasizes balance and the dangers of extremes. Too much yang could lead to aggression, heat, dryness, and volatility, qualities that could manifest not only in the environment, but in the human body and spirit. Therefore, the double ninth was considered a high-risk day in the cosmic calendar, a moment when spiritual turbulence could erupt, bringing misfortune unless properly countered. One of the most enduring legends associated with Chongyang comes from the Eastern Han Dynasty, 25 to 220 CE, and concerns a man named Huan Jing and his Taoist master, Fei Changfang. According to tradition, Fei warned Huan that a great catastrophe would strike his hometown on the 9th day of the 9th month. To escape it, he instructed Huan to take his family to a high mountain, carry dogwood, and drink chrysanthemum wine. Huan obeyed. When he returned the next day, he found that a terrible plague had swept through his village, killing many. Only those who had followed the Taoist ritual had survived. Thus, the association of the double ninth festival with mountain climbing and ritual protection was born. This tale is no simple folk story. It reflects deep Taoist beliefs about spiritual hygiene, the power of ritual substances, and the symbolic geography of mountains. In the world of Taoist alchemy, mountains were sacred realms, closer to the immortals, the stars, and the Tao itself. To climb a mountain was to ascend spiritually, to escape the mundane, impure world and enter a realm of clarity and transcendence. In ancient Chinese thought, mountains were more than geological features. They were living, breathing entities that connected heaven and earth. The term shan carried connotations of strength, mystery, and divine presence. Sacred peaks like Mount Tai, Mount Hua, and Mount Song were not mere natural wonders. They were sites of imperial pilgrimage, Taoist meditation, and ancestral veneration. The belief that mountains could shield one from malevolent forces was rooted in both practical and spiritual logic. Higher altitudes were cooler and seen as cleaner, less prone to disease, and more distanced from the turbid qi of the lowlands. Spiritually, mountains were seen as sites where immortals dwelled, where the boundaries between the human and divine blurred. By ascending a mountain on the double ninth, Ancient Chinese believed they were temporarily lifting themselves out of the mortal realm, escaping the pull of yin energies and aligning with the harmony of heaven. The accessories of the Double Ninth Festival were not arbitrary. Dogwood, known as zhuyu, was believed to possess protective powers. Its sharp scent and bitter nature were thought to repel evil spirits and purify the body's qi. In traditional Chinese medicine, it was used to tonify the liver and kidney, strengthen the yang, and stabilize the body against seasonal change. Chrysanthemums, meanwhile, were more than just autumnal flowers. They bloomed precisely at a time when most other plants withered, symbolizing resilience, longevity, and purity. The flower's association with Taoist immortality traditions is well documented. Drinking chrysanthemum wine on Chongyang was believed to nourish the blood, clear the liver, and repel illness. But it also had a ritual function, offering spiritual protection during a volatile cosmic moment. Over time, the act of wearing dogwood sachets, drinking chrysanthemum wine, and climbing mountains became an integrated ritual system, a seasonal exorcism that allowed ancient communities to realign themselves with the cosmos and avert disaster. As the centuries progressed, the Double Ninth Festival evolved from a ritual of protection into a day of reflection and poetic melancholy. By the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, one of China's greatest cultural flowerings, Chongyang had become a time for scholars, officials, and poets to compose verses lamenting separation, aging, and the passage of time. The most famous such poem comes from Wang Wei, a master of landscape and emotion. Alone in a strange land, I'm a lonely stranger. Every festive date makes me miss my kin all the more. I know that my brothers, climbing high with dogwood, must be wearing the sachets, but one man is missing. Wang Wei's poem crystallized a new dimension of the festival: nostalgia, homesickness, and the bittersweet awareness of mortality. The act of climbing became not just an escape from spirits, but a ritual of memory, of honoring the past, the departed, and the cycles of life. By the late Imperial period, the Double Ninth Festival had become institutionalized, with emperors offering sacrifices to the heavens and leading ceremonial mountaineering expeditions. During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, civil officials would gather to climb towers, drink wine, and write poetry, often as a form of courtly display. Yet, the deeper beliefs persisted. In rural areas, families still gathered herbs, made medicinal wines, and prayed to ancestral spirits. In both elite and folk contexts, the festival retained its dual identity, as both a cosmic ritual of avoidance and a cultural moment of reflection. Today, the Double Ninth Festival is officially recognized in China as Senior Citizens' Day, a celebration of the elderly and a time for filial piety. Hikes to local mountains are still common, as are gifts of chrysanthemums and traditional pastries like Chongyang cake, often layered to resemble a mountain. While the apocalyptic fears of ancient times have faded, the spiritual architecture of the festival remains. To climb a mountain on Chongyang is still to ritually transcend, to honor the ancestors, and to confront the changing seasons with a heart rooted in tradition. The ancient Chinese were acutely aware that the world was in flux. Seasons changed, dynasties rose and fell, and people passed from life to death like leaves in the wind. Against this backdrop, festivals like the Double Ninth served as anchors in time, moments where communities could pause, realign, and protect themselves, not just from ghosts and demons, but from the chaos of the world itself. To climb a mountain on the 9th day of the 9th month was to rise above danger, both literal and symbolic. It was an act of resistance against the inevitable, against decay, aging, and loss. It was a moment to remember those who came before, to cherish those still with us, and to plant one's spiritual feet firmly on the high ground. In the end, the Double Ninth Festival teaches us something profound about the ancient Chinese worldview, that to live well, one must live in harmony with heaven, earth, and the cycles that bind them. And sometimes that means climbing, not to conquer, but to remember, to protect, and to transcend. But Chongyang was only one turning in China's ritual year, one note in a larger spiritual calendar. The ancients did not treat time as empty space, but as terrain, textured with danger, memory, obligation, and celestial balance. Across seasons and dynasties, certain days shimmered with meaning, when the gates of the dead opened, when ancestors awaited offerings, when fire was forbidden, or when reunion pulled against loneliness under the autumn moon. Each was a threshold. Each demanded a response. To understand the ancient Chinese relationship with life, death, and time itself, we must walk that calendar. One festival, one offering, one scroll at a time.